Number 8 is very similar to the one we just got done with in number 6, so I'm going to do that one first. In number 8, there's a term on the outside of a parentheses. I use the distributive property, so x times x squared is x cubed, and x squared times minus 4 is minus 4x squared, and that's it. You're done. Number 7 is a little bit different than all the other ones we've been doing so far. You have to make sure you understand that you're dealing with something called the order of operations, or in other words, you might have learned it as PEMDAS. So powers and parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, that kind of stuff. So I see in here that I have my parentheses being squared, so I have to take care of that first. And for me, it's very helpful to rewrite this as 2 times those 2 parentheses that are being squared, or I could use the Joachim shortcut if I wanted to. So this is the x minus 7, 2 of them together. And then there's the minus 8 on the outside. So the squaring thing meant do this. Now at this point you could multiply the 2 first times the first parentheses if you want to, and then go from there. But since I am used to foiling, I'm going to take care of the 2 parentheses first, because if multiplication is happening in order, like 2 times 3 times 4, that's 24. I can go 4 times 3 times 2. That's 24. So multiplication is commutative, which means I can multiply in any order I want to. It's okay. Once it's all multiplication in an area, I can do it any way I want. So I am, first of all, going to take care of the multiplication of the polynomials. So that means I'm going to have a 2 times whatever I get when I FOIL out that middle stuff. So I have the x times the x, that's x squared. I have a negative 7x from the inners, a negative 7x from the outers. That's a total of negative 14 x's if I were foiling. And negative 7 times negative 7 is positive 49. So I use the foiling process to figure out this stuff with the 2 parentheses being FOILed out. Don't forget, of course, about that minus 8 that's still there. Now I see a number on the outside of the parentheses, and that's multiply, and I see the minus 8. Multiply has to come before subtraction. So I'm going to take that 2 and distribute it to all the pieces of that parentheses. So 2 times x squared is 2x squared. 2 times minus 14x is minus 28x. 2 times positive 49 is positive 98. And I still have that minus 8. And since I ran out of room, I'll write my final answer up above. And all I have to do is combine the last 2 terms, which are both constants. So I have 2x squared minus 28x, and then plus 90. This is my final answer on the top there. In number 9, you'll notice that the second parentheses has 3 things in it. So it looks like it'd be really bad, but the truth is what ends up happening is I start writing down things in the order that I multiply them. So I'm going to start with the 2x, and I'm going to treat this like a FOIL process, but instead of doing 2 things in the second parentheses that I multiply by, I just do 3. So I have the 2x times the x squared, that's 2x cubed. I have the 2x times the minus 3x, that's minus 6x squared. I have the 2x times the, is that a positive 8? Yeah, positive 8. So that's 16x. Notice that I've taken now that first term, 2x, and I've multiplied it by every single thing in the second parentheses. But I haven't done the 3 yet. I'm going to do that next. And when I use the 3, what I'm going to do is when I notice what it produces, I'm going to line it up with the one like it above it. You'll see what I mean. 3 times x squared is 3x squared. So I write that down underneath the minus 6x squared, because those are the same kinds of things. The 3 times negative 3x is negative 9x. And the 3 times 8 is positive 24. And now if I want to combine like terms, all the like terms are lined up on top of each other. This is not necessary, but visually it's very easy to see what combines. So I have as my ending answer 2x cubed minus 3x squared plus 7x plus 24. And that's my final answer. In this last one, you'll notice that there are 3 parentheses. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose 2 to do first, and then after we do 2, because multiplication is commutative, I can do them in any order I want, then I'll do the last one. So I don't really know why, but I usually pick the last 2 to multiply. So as I pick these last 2 to multiply, I'm going to FOIL out those 2 parentheses first. If I FOIL out those parentheses, I have x times x, which is x squared. I have x times minus 4, which is minus 4x. I have 8 times x, which is 8x. And I have 8 times minus 4, which is negative 32. This stuff that I just got done with is the result of my foiling the last 2 parentheses. I'm going to simplify that first. Don't forget that you still have that other parentheses that's out in front, that x plus 3. We have not taken care of that yet. But I'm going to simplify that second parentheses before I move any farther, because there are 2 terms that can be combined. The minus 4x and the positive 8x is positive 4x, and I still have that negative 32. Now the truth is, if you wanted to, you can wait to simplify until the end, and you could have taken that parentheses that we have in the beginning here, that x plus 3 parentheses, and we could have multiplied that first and then simplified, but that means I would have been multiplying by 4 terms instead of 3, and I think that's going to take a lot more work, so I didn't bother. Now my last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take the first thing in my black parentheses, and I'm going to multiply by each of the terms in my pink. So x times x squared is x cubed. X times 4x is positive 4x squared. X times minus 32 is minus 32x. Now I've used the x with every single term. I move on to the positive 3 and I do the same thing. And again, I'm going to line up the terms that match. So 3 times x squared is positive 3x squared. 3 times 4x is positive 12x. And 3 times negative 32 is negative 96. I put those together and I see that I end up with x cubed plus 7x squared minus 20x minus 96 as my final result.